welcome to podcast number 27. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Melissa.
And we're from Espace Tricot, a knit shop in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And we're here on a bright... We thought it was sunny, but it's not sunny.
It's not sunny, but at least it's daytime. We're not recording at night, so we have a little bit of natural light today.
A bright February day. We've had some nice cold, but nice sunshine weather.
Yes, and I have to say, it really lifted my spirits. It was starting to, this winter has been really grinding on. We've had so much snow.
We had a big snowstorm actually last week.
It's been very cold. Yeah, we were still digging ourselves out. Our street isn't completely plowed.
Oh, ours is? Yeah, we're good. Our
one side is done, the other is not done yet.
Our borough is the most cleaned in the city. Heard that on the news. Fancy. But you know, it's funny because in Montreal, like we talk about the weather and the snow and the snowstorm
and the snow removal,
and we complain. But you know what? We actually have the best snow removal in the world. They've done all these studies, and it shocks me every time I hear that.
But we complain about it all the time. It's been like an hour and a half since that snowstorm finished, and they still haven't plowed our street.
I know. And you know, it takes a lot to close down our city. I mean, we used to, when Melissa lived in New Jersey, we used to laugh because we were like, they would close before the snow started.
Exactly.
You know.
And the schools would be closed if it was like below freezing.
I know.
32 degrees.
My God. We wouldn't go out.
Did we talk about this on our last podcast?
No, I don't know. It could be, but see, that's all we talk about. But,
exactly.
But we had a snow day last week, and I mean, the store was still open, and people made it. And
no, we haven't had to close the store once this year, I don't think, right?
We've never actually. We've never closed the store. Yeah. We're true Montrealers, you know. So, but yeah, it was the kids loved it
with staff.
Yeah, exactly. We had a snow day.
We had a snow day
because our kids were home, so we're like, oh, gotta stay home with our kids, you know, even though they're old. But you know,
if we have staff willing to come in, we don't close.
Yeah, exactly. We never like force our staff. It's like even between Christmas and New Year, we're like, if we have staff willing to work, we stay open, and there's always people who want to work, so that's good for us. So that's our little like. You know, so we still feel like we're in winter. Like we are
still in winter. It's
warm winter woolens
February,
and stuff.
We're fully in winter here, and I think we'll be in winter for a while. And I don't mind. I mean, I have to say, that was kind of what precipitated the sale, the flash sale that we had last week, because things were starting to feel really gray and heavy, and just, you know, people were sort of lacking motivation and.
Joie de vivre.
Joie de vivre. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but just something. So I thought, you know, we thought we were going to have just a one-day sort of flash Valentine's Day sale on the 14th, and I think Francois said, we should make it 3 days. And we're like, we should make it 3 days.
Because it was like a big snowstorm, and we're like, oh, people need a little pick-me-up.
Yeah, so that's right, because the snowstorm was right before.
The day before.
So we thought, if we have this big sale on the 14th, even though it's online, it doesn't, for the people who want to come into the store, it's not going to be nice. There's not going to be parking. So, we just decided to run it all 3 days, and it was great. Fun. I think people seem to appreciate it. So thank you for anyone who came into the store and purchased from us this past week in particular, and also online. It was great.
Yeah,
so people were busy.
Yes, it was
staff was very busy filling orders. So I think hopefully that brightened up people's winter a little bit.
They gave themselves some love. Exactly. Gave themselves some love on Valentine's Day. So we actually, it's, you know, we had this bad weather here, but we were actually at Vogue Knitting when the weather was really bad. And for us, we love going to New York because it's, you know, just 10 degrees Celsius warmer. So we don't dress as heavy. It was cold. It was cold. It was damp. It was tough, but we braved the weather.
It was too bad, though, because the week after we were there was really nice. So we were just a little sad that
we missed that good time.
It kind of cramped our style in terms of we still walked. We walked everywhere. I mean, we're Canadian, right?
I know. Well, we kind of had to suck it up and even if we were cold, not say we were cold because we're Canadian.
So it has been a few weeks since we podcasted, because I think we podcasted maybe a couple of weeks before we went to Vogue Knitting Live, and then we had planned to podcast last Monday, and we didn't.
We bailed, as we always do.
And so today we were like, okay, we're doing it. And also, we feel sort of, we wanted to chat a bit about Vogue, and it seems like it's so long. It seems like it's, and everybody's done their Vogue Knitting Live roundup, and so if you're tired of hearing about Vogue, we're sorry, we're a little bit late, but
or maybe you're ready for a second dose.
Yeah.
But it was really fun. I mean, for us, going to Vogue is really about, you know, scoping out new products, new yarns, talking to people, really,
Really about talking to people.
Yeah,
really. I don't even think we managed to do much shopping.
Which was good.
Yeah.
Which was good.
Yeah,
we did a little bit.
We did,
but
do a
we
little bit.
actually were like in line at some places and then put the yarn down and left. And because it's sort of. We're really trying hard to be more, more reflective, and because we'll explain why, because we had a staff party, so it was very sobering. So we'll explain that after maybe.
Yeah.
But we made some, met some people we know, made some new connections, and it was nice because Julie Asselin and Jean-François were there, and they were giving workshops all weekend. Like I think she did 6 workshops during the weekend.
She did. She was. Yeah. Morning and afternoon for 3 days in a row. So I don't think she was on the floor at all.
No, I don't think so. But we did go for her. We did. We went out with her a couple of times and saw her in the hotel in the evenings and stuff. So it's always nice to catch up with Julie. And she's got such a big heart and so generous. And she gave us a sneak peek of some new yarns. So we knitted up and we just loved it. So that was really fun. And some of our staff was there. Annie and Emma
managed to make. Well, Annie.
Yeah, they were there.
Yeah, but Annie's not our staff.
Oh, well, no, she's not, but she's kind of, we kind of think she is.
We think of her. She's part of our family.
Yeah, and they came up with actually Amélie Bédard from Emilia and Philomène Yarns and Jean-Philippe Clich from Atelier Cliché.
Yeah, so they all drove down together, right? And I don't think they stayed at the Marriott.
No, I don't think so, but we had, it's funny because we didn't make plans to meet, but we knew they were going to be there.
Yeah, we ran into them right away. It was pretty good.
And Emma's really bad because she was at the cache with this spin cycle yarn, and I'm like, oh my God, I love that color.
She's the one who enabled you on that, right? Anyway, so actually this was the first year I think that Lisa and I decided to stay actually in the hotel that VKL was being held at, because
such luxury.
Up until last year we didn't go, and the previous years that we did go, I was actually living in New Jersey. So you would come down and we'd stay
in New Jersey
at my place, which was still only like 25-minute train ride away, but it's not the same as staying there, We had to schlep in and schlep home, and we would go in at least Saturday and Sunday. So it was a real luxury, actually, being able to just walk out of our room and go downstairs. No
get
coats,
coffee,
just not schlepping all the bags and the coats and the winter stuff. It was, I enjoyed it.
It's a little luxury if you can afford that, I mean, afford yourself to stay in that, because it's very pricey to stay there, but we bit the bullet.
The room rate for VKL was, it was still pricey, but it was
cheaper than
it was
regular.
Much cheaper than you would pay for that hotel at any other time, as well as other hotels in the area, I'm sure.
But if you could treat yourself, I think it's worth it. And you're right. It's actually the first time we've ever stayed right in the middle, like at Times Square. And it's kind of nice because you're very central. So, going to Brooklyn, going to Queens, going uptown, downtown, east,
hop
west.
on the subway, and
it's really
it was
accessible.
easy to get around.
Yeah, and we took a class with Vera Valimaki, which was she's such a sweetie.
That was one of the highlights of the weekend. Actually, we were really looking for it. I think that was also the first time we've taken a class at Vogue Knitting Live, right? So we were like, oh, Vera's teaching, and she was actually teaching from idea to design. And given that we're trying to move more into design work this year, we thought, it's perfect timing, and we went, and it was great. We didn't really have high expectations, because how much can you really teach in a 3-hour block of time? This is, I feel like that's sort of like a workshop, a weekend workshop, or but Vera covered a lot of ground. Actually, it really was idea to design.
I think from idea to pattern, I think.
Idea to pattern. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of design. Yeah. Idea to pattern, and really from inspiration, pictures, Pinterest, whatever, to finished design, including grading, really,
and schematics and all that,
and the whole thing, and all the the software she uses, and
like a nice overview, like a nice overview, and a great handout. Like her handout was so professional. Yeah. So it's kind of was motivating.
She was a good teacher. It was more lecture style than anything else. It wasn't a practical class, but it was, I think it just gave a really good foundation. It was like a nice orientation. I mean, obviously some of the stuff we knew, but it was just nice to have it all in that design contest.
Yeah, and really, like, it just makes you even appreciate more, like, a true designer and all the steps and all the knowledge they have to have. And, you know, it's very technical also, because in design you have that creativity and that inspiration, but you also have a very technical component as well. So to you know, the great knitwear designers really have a balance of those two, you know. So it's really, it was nice to see that. And she was just very lovely. And for us, she's like a big superstar, because when we started knitting, we knit so many of her patterns.
So many of her patterns.
And I was like, oh, what's Vera knitting? And every time customers would come to the store, we're like, okay, these are the designers you need to go and look at, you know. And she was always one of them.
How many of those color affections and striped study shawls and
sweaters.
Yeah.
So it was fun for us, you know. We were a little starstruck. We're like, oh, can we have a picture with you?
Oh yeah, we did. We did do that.
Fangirling.
Yeah.
So that was fun. We got a little bit of that. And another point we wanted, the first time we went to Vogue Knitting, we had actually just done our first podcast. And when we walked in, there was a woman. Her name was Jen, and she was there, and she was like, oh, I recognize you girls. You are the girls from Espace Tricot. We're like, oh my God, someone recognized us. You know, it was so like, I don't know, humbling.
It was our first taste of being recognized, I guess. And so her name is, I think she's Jan Clay on Instagram, and Willie, who's Knit Diva. And so we actually had the opportunity to spend an evening knitting with them.
Yeah, it was so funny because
lovely.
We were like, okay, let's go to the lobby and knit, and it was like
midnight or something, right?
So we're like, there were 2 chairs, so we sat there and we didn't really see anybody that we knew.
And then Jan and Willie were walking by on their way to bed because they were getting ready for Christy Glass's
Storm the
Subway Storm takeover in the morning. And so they were getting to bed at a decent time. We're like,
oh, come and knit with us.
So I think it was like 3 o'clock by the time we all went to bed.
I
And we were gonna, I actually had hopes of going to the Subway Storm.
Oh yeah.
No, before
you did.
Before.
But I knew she wasn't going to go. Even though you said, oh, I said, I'm going to say it right now. I'm not going.
Lisa said she's not, because Lisa's not a morning person.
I could storm the Subway at midnight, no problem. But I'm not.
We could even storm the Subway at 3 in the morning, because that's around the time we go to bed, right?
Exactly.
It's more the 8 o'clock in the morning.
So Melissa thought, but I'm like, yeah, that'll be Dash.
They should have a midnight storm.
Oh yeah, that would be better. That would be. We should suggest that to Christy. But Willie and Jan finally went to bed. But it was just so nice to like chat with them, and because sometimes when you see each other, you sort of like in passing, you say a few sentences. But here we actually sat down for a few hours.
It was lovely. It was great.
But they made it.
They actually made it.
Oh, they were good. They were good.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a highlight that we got to chit chat with them.
Yeah. What else did we do? I mean, we're not doing this in any chronological order at all, but I think was it the Friday night we actually we met up with like 20 of our knitting friends, and we went for a nice family style dinner at Tony's at Times Square. And who was there?
Organized by
Danny
from
Gemma
Darlings,
Darlings, who has a great podcast you guys have to go watch, and she's also very active on Instagram. But Danny sort of organized the whole thing. She actually organizes everything for us.
She's
whenever there's something to be. Yeah, when we all went together to Edinburgh Yarn Festival last year too, and she was keeping us all corralled and on the same page, which was great. And so she organized this great dinner with. So who was there? It was Gigi was there. Cecilia, Creative Cece was there. Christy,
Leslie,
Shamika, Leslie of Les Knits.
Some new people.
Some people that we didn't know.
Some people that Cece I think met somewhere.
Yes, on a cruise.
Yeah, they were They were unfortunately we didn't chat with them because they were in the back. Yeah. And there was who's that girl? The designer.
Knit and crochet.
Yeah.
Crochet. She did the designer of the As If tee.
She's so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I think her name is Shay.
Yes,
Shay.
That's
right.
Her name. So she was pretty sweet.
So that As If tee was super popular. Yeah. Christy's knitted a couple times. Stephanie of Asylum Fibers has knit a few times.
Stephanie was there as well.
Oh yeah, Stephanie was there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and 2 of Stephanie's friends who were helping her in her booth.
Oh yeah.
And
we just want to say disclaimer because we're always nervous about talking about people because we think we're going to forget people.
And we're really sorry if we forget.
We apologize right now because we had great interactions with so many people, and of course because we don't write everyone's name down, we forget. So that was
a really fun night. And then Saturday night we did the
knit night
out at Bureaucracy. Christy Glass had a knit night, and that was really fun too. I think we were a little bit late getting there.
No, I think
we were late enough that we didn't actually. There were no seats left by the time we got there. We scooched in. We made ourselves fit. But who did we catch up there? Christina and Miriam
from Chelsea.
Chelsea Yarns.
Heather
and Kathy from the Knot House. And Natalia
from Malojos. And it was nice. I was sitting next to her. So even though we've purchased products and we've chatted in the booth, we never really talked much about, what she does and where she's from. And she organizes this knit weekend, like a kind of a festival at like a mini VKL in Chicago. So it was just nice to talk to her about all that. So that was nice to get to know her. And then Bronwyn from Casa Pinko was on the other side of me. And
and we actually went with Denise of Bryon Handmade.
Yeah.
Bryon Handmade. And that was actually another highlight of the weekend. I had been corresponding with Denise back and forth for a few months. I guess around the time that she was launching her first sweater pattern. And she'd put out a call on Instagram to have people help her name it, and because she had been knitting it around the time that she was doing her yoga certification class, and she sort of tied that into the sweater design. I said Cardisan, and she picked the name, so I was thrilled. And so we were just sort of corresponding a little bit, and I was really excited to meet her. So I think we met her on the Friday night.
Yeah,
right?
I met her at the Plucky Knitter booth.
Yeah. Wasn't that the Friday night?
I can't remember. I think so. So we were there,
Friday night,
she's just like, I don't know, because of course I know nothing because I wasn't following anything about the discussion. And then I was there and I saw her and she had this like
hat, right?
And the sweater, and I just saw, I'm like, I had no idea who she was. I had no idea that Melissa had been corresponding with her. I'm like, oh my God, I love your style. I love your sweater. I love your look.
Super stylish.
Can I take your picture? And she's like, oh, this is my design. And so we hit it off.
Yeah, that's a new design she has coming, which is a very sort of like, very chic, sort of boxy Chanel style.
Yes. Cardigan,
right?
And she had these like snaps that were sort of hidden snaps, but then when you open, you could see. Anyway, she was lovely. We spent quite a bit of time during the weekend with her, and we got her to buy a twig and horn bags.
Go and check out her Instagram account, you guys. Bryon, Bayron, handmade. She's a sewist and a knitter, and actually a pretty recent knitter, and already designing. So really amazing.
Yeah, and very, very sweet.
We're impressed. We are very impressed, and very sweet. Yeah.
So that was fun to meet her, and then also we went. There was the Vogue, the fashion show.
Oh, the fashion show,
and Shamika opened the show with her beautiful pink
double
wings.
knit. That shawl was a piece of art. It was literally double knit. So the one side was black and the other side was hot pink, and it was perfectly reversible. She tore up that floor, I have to say.
She opened the show and she even was like practicing her walk the night before and what do I do, and I mean she's like a diehard knitter. She's the one who's like gonna go till she like falls, until she drops.
Yeah, she'll knit her whole sweater the day before Rhinebeck.
Yeah, exactly. So, and she's like a bundle of joy. Every time you see her, she's like happy.
It's her smile.
And she loves pink, and everything is pink, and it's just her, So that was a highlight. And Christy did a great job of hosting.
emceeing.
I thought it was really lovely.
Her dress designed by Brandy Cheyenne Harper. That dress is a masterpiece.
It was like a Vogue runway dress,
It was a Vogue runway dress. Hats off to Brandy for designing that dress because
it was something. It was like it's one of those showstoppers.
I wish I could wear something like that.
One day, maybe.
One day.
So that was so that was good. And also we were at the booth at Dinah's booth at the knitting place
on the Saturday. We had a meet and greet from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was fun because it's still so weird that someone would ask us to come and do a meet and greet, but we went and
we met and we greeted people.
We met and we greeted, right?
But it was nice because we really got to chat with people. Like, that's what we like.
We weren't mobbed or anything.
No,
it wasn't like
it was very modest.
It was very modest. It was very, very nice.
Yeah, and it was nice because you really get a chance to talk to people and and get to know them as well. And they tell you their Instagram name or their YouTube name.
Yeah, or you recognize them. Once they tell you their Instagram name, it's like, oh, okay. It's just nice to put faces to names like that. Yeah.
And, going to different festivals, you start seeing some of the, same people. You're like, oh, yeah, last time we saw each other was in Edinburgh, or we saw each other in Rhinebeck.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And we actually got to catch up with Dinah and Pam later on during the week because we stayed a little bit longer. So we went out to Long Island.
We stayed a lot longer, actually. So VKL ended on the Sunday, and Lisa and I stayed till the following Saturday.
Because, we had business meetings and we had,
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we did. We talked a lot. For us, it's important because when we're in Montreal, we just we're just like business. We're all business, and every time we want to carve out time for us to get together and to plan and to be creative and inspire, things always come up.
Yeah. So we made it into a little retreat, like a working retreat.
Yeah.
I mean, we did percolate some new ideas.
Yeah, so we'll be sharing those as time goes on. But it was so nice to go with Dinah and Pam and go to see her shop.
Yeah, because we've been friends with them since we opened the shop. But we'd never been to her shop. Dinah's been up here, but we'd never been down there. So we took the train out to Long Island and had a great dinner out there as well.
Yes. I think another highlight was going to String Thing for a knit night on Friday with Felicia. And it was so nice. I mean, we got there and it really reminded us of when we first opened up our shop. And that Felicia's there and she's like, the hostess and greeting everybody with warm hugs and smiles. And
it was a full house.
You could just feel the love. Like
lots
there's
of
just
regulars.
So much energy
and
there.
It's a party there on Friday nights.
Total
ordering
party.
Food, everybody ordering their food.
She's got the menus out and even had a second order and it's like wine. I'm like, they even have a wine fridge behind their couch.
We're like, oh my God, why don't we have a wine fridge?
Good idea. and we had like really nice, meaningful discussions with so many people and also Catherine from Brooklyn General. And it was really nice. Like towards the end of the night, it was Felicia, us, and Catherine, and we were just chatting about shop and like all kinds of stuff, and just listening to Felicia's story about how where she got to where she is, and Catherine's story about how she got, and she's sort of in a new phase of life, changing her work. She was a on-call midwife, and so she's kind of stepped back from that a little bit, and then still doing work in the field, but differently. So she's designing now.
Has a whole new focus on design, and I mean her
like
stores
stunning
are just
designs too.
Amazing.
So
they're very tiny gauge, her sweaters.
Yeah, exactly.
I really want to cast on the Bela. Her new sweater is so spectacular. It's the bees. It's all about the bees, and it's so beautiful. It has definitely been added to my queue, but holy moly.
It's almost like I'd like to knit it just as like a work of art, to put on your wall.
Oh, maybe you should just knit the
that's an idea. So that for us is really special, to talk with, different people. There's different relationships. And so when we get together with shop owners, it was really nice to share.
One of the fun things we did too is Cecilia, Creative Cece, actually invited us down to visit her place of work, her workplace at Hudson Yards. And so she works at L'Oreal. Yeah. And so we got this great tour of the whole
like all up high, the whole views.
It was spectacular up there.
That was nice.
And it was just nice to soak up that sort of New York,
like living, working,
but also just sort of that whole world, right?
That whole fashion, perfume, makeup, and she works in diversity. The diversity department. I don't know what the name of the department is.
She's a group leader in diversity training, I believe. Yeah.
So it's just
diversity and inclusion training.
It's so amazing, like all the projects she has, because it's such an international company, and also that they work like with employees and like
all over the world.
And I think the American division is really at the forefront of the diversity training, and other countries are learning from them. So to share with her and learn all about that aspect was super interesting. So I mean, it was funny because there were so many more things we wanted to do. Like we wanted to go to Chelsea Yarns, and we wanted to go, to visit all kinds of other people. But
and the weeks just ran away from us, right?
Like, oh well, we'll just have to go back.
Yeah.
So that was good. Oh, and one other little shout out I wanted to give was to Geneviève from Pompon Laine Café. It's a cute little shop here in Quebec, and we were sitting on the floor and just checking our messages, and she walked by with two friends and stopped us, and they're in Trois-Rivières. And they have a cute little shop. And so it was nice, again, to chat with her about shop and how things are going and all that. So, we're a small community in Quebec, so it's always nice to touch base with other people. Idea where
and I just want to mention, too, that it was so gratifying to walk into Vogue Knitting Live and to see my curled up sweater.
on a mannequin.
Right? And there is lots of people have knit this up as samples for their yarn, which was really nice because it just showed you that sweater can truly be knit with anything. Luft is a beautiful yarn from Woolfolk, and we love it, obviously. But don't feel that you have to knit that sweater with that yarn. You don't. I've just seen so many beautiful versions.
And we saw. Okay, so that was as soon as we walked in, it was right on the mannequin. It was actually yarn shop. It was in Lake Placid. Okay. Because I've been Adirondack Mountain Shop, I think.
But we don't know what yarn they used.
I don't know what yarn they used. But then also throughout the whole show, we saw lots of people
wearing it. And can I just say that Gigi's orange version was spectacular. Yeah. So she had put out a call actually on Instagram because she wanted to knit it in orange, of course, and could not find any bulky weight orange yarn to knit this sweater with. And Kathy and Heather of the Knot House totally obliged. They knit a beautiful shade, a perfect, I think they even call it Gigi orange or something.
Do they?
So they dyed up that yarn for her, and she was wearing her orange turtle dove. And I think I posted a picture to Instagram.
Yeah, you did.
Right? Yeah.
But then the funny thing is she was wearing the European road trip shawl on top of it in orange.
In orange as well.
And at the knit night,
and
that's my pattern. And then at knit night, it was Chelsea, Christina from Chelsea Yarns had dyed the yarn,
orange.
And I was the designer, and she was the wearer.
So she was the knitter. So
that was funny. Nice. You know, it's anyway. I mean, she makes I don't know. I never, it's so funny because orange is one of the colors that sell the least in our shop, and she makes orange work in every pattern.
I think she's going to change that for orange.
Yeah, I think she's going to give orange a new life, because there's so many sophisticated ways you can use orange in different shades.
Of course.
All that yarn. So that was that, and then when we came back, we had our staff holiday party. So what we do is,
so we had to prepare that week, right? So because we had lots of preparation to do for that,
did.
Right?
So we did it at Melissa's house this year, but we got it catered. So we got our act together ahead of time to get it catered, and. So, because what we notice is that when we're at a restaurant, it's sort of you don't get to chat as much, and knitters just want to socialize.
You
and
just
knit.
get to knit. You get to speak to the people who are closest to you at the table, and unless there's a lot of milling about, which you don't do if you're sitting down and eating at a restaurant, then it's not a social evening for everybody. You know?
And a lot of we posted on Instagram. People were shocked at how many staff we have, but not everyone is full time. Like some people are just teachers, some people design for us, some people are part time in the store, a day here, a few hours there. So it looks like a huge staff, and it's great because with all that staff, there's a lot of support, and then people are there to sub for each other, and so there's so it keeps it fresh.
It may be that somebody's only working 1 day a week now, but they probably worked 4 days a week, or maybe they're just teaching a class now, but they used to work 2 or 3 days, you know? So,
and then Amalia's on maternity leave, so we have somebody who's replacing her, but she was there to the party, So, and Catherine went on maternity leave, so, now she's back. Yeah. So there's all that. So it was a fun party.
It was a fun
party. Lots of knitting.
It was especially fun because, as you said, we had it catered, so there was no preparation to do in terms of food for us, but there was preparation to do in terms of gifts.
Yes.
Because normally what we do is we will really think about what it is that our staff wants, and everybody gets an individual gift. Usually they all get the same thing, or sort of the same thing, or close to the same thing. Different colors and
styles.
And that's and they always love it. But this year we were like, let's
go stash diving.
Because what do they love more than anything but yarn, right?
And every time we want to do something different, they're like, well, we love yarn.
Yeah, really.
So Melissa and I, we talk about when we travel, we buy yarn, and then we don't knit with it, even though we love it and we want to knit with it. We don't sell it in our store. So there are things that we've knit with that we don't have in our store. Yeah. And then anyways, in the end, we have too much, like all knitters, we have too much.
So we've been accumulating our personal stashes for the last 8 years, right? Since we've opened the store. And those stashes are beautiful yarns. Mm-hmm. Beautiful yarns, everything from rustic to hand-dyed to cashmere to linens. Oh yeah, some beautiful linens.
So many things. So So that's why when we were at Vogue, we really decided not to really buy much because
we saw that we have this stash, and the idea was, I think, what happened, Lise? Okay, so the idea was that we were accumulating our stash because we didn't actually envision having the store for that long. So we thought, when we will eventually be able to knit with this.
Yeah.
Right?
When we don't have a store.
And now it's like, well, it's 8 years in and we still have a store, and we might still have a store in a decade. So does it make sense to keep...
Yes.
I mean, seriously, I've been moving my yarn from Montreal to the States, back to Montreal, and it's still in bins because we can't knit with it.
And Sean limits me because we have a very small space, so I have 2 bins of yarn and then 1 bin of like extra bits. And I can't have any more than that. So it was starting to bulge.
So we decided that this was just didn't make sense, but we felt it's time to release it.
It's time to give it a new home for someone who would enjoy it. So what we did was, I brought all my stash to Melissa's house. We put everything. We should have taken a picture. We put it all out, and then we made lots.
We made 36 lots.
36 lots.
Because there were 18 people, not including Lisa and I.
Because we didn't need any.
So, and we did a grab. We put everything in like paper bags, stapled them shut.
And then what we did was we picked names, and then you could you could go and pick a gift, and then you could
keep like a gift or take somebody else's.
Take somebody else's. So we did that, and then it was kind of nice because at the beginning everybody was nervous, and then after people were like, okay, well I got this, and I'm not really gonna knit with it, so if anybody wants it, I'll exchange it for anything.
I think that like is a very Canadian version of a grab. I've been to grabs where it was just you just steal it, you just take it, you're just like
But at the beginning,
very polite. It's like, would it be okay?
People didn't want to steal; they were feeling awkward and bad.
Yeah,
and then
I'm really
sorry. And at the end, it was like. We said, okay, and then you can go and barter, and you can exchange part or whatever. The only thing is you can't give it back to us.
And so in the end, I think everybody went home with yarn that they loved, right?
Yeah, I think so. It was, and it was like really nice stuff.
It was
like
really nice
beautiful,
stuff.
beautiful yarn.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then also Stephanie, Earp, and Naomi did a trivia game for us, which was amazing.
It was really fun. They put so much work into it. So we worked in teams. We had teams of 2. We didn't even win.
We didn't. Oh, the first section was like, oh my God, it's embarrassing that we're. It was like, so we gave them little gifts as well for winning. So that was Stephanie and Naomi did a fantastic job, and they really made us. They had one section: is it a cheese or is it a sheep? A sheep. And then another one is they would give colorways, which were like obscure colorways, and then we had to
name
say
the brand
and the color family.
That was for bonus points.
Yeah. So it was, anyways, and they had other sections. So that was a really fun time, and so that was good.
Oh my gosh,
my goodness, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to EYF.
Oh yes,
if you saw from our Instagram post. So we just booked our flights, we booked our hotel.
Yeah, we hadn't even committed. We had bought tickets and we'd bought tickets to the events, but we still hadn't committed to going. And last week we finally said yes.
Yeah, because we
fear of missing out is too strong.
It is, but also it's a different kind of show than we have here in North America, and we think it's good because we
were exposed to and learned so much last year when we were there, and it just changed. In fact, I would say our visit to EYF changed the course of our shop a little bit.
It did.
We brought in so many yarns that we saw there, and it changed also the kinds of things we were knitting.
Yes, certainly did.
We moved in full steam ahead with color work, which we had only dabbled in a little bit at that point, and
the more rustic yarns, specific sheep breeds.
Exactly. So I feel that it was a very positive thing last year for us, and so we're just interested to go this year to see what we
can build upon. It's like harness that momentum.
We learned about this year.
And Dinah from the Knitting Place is going to be there, and Cecilia from Creative CC is going to be there. So we'll catch up with them as well. So that's lots of fun. And we also, like, as we were preparing for this podcast, we realized that so many patterns we've designed and things we talk about, the yarn is on back order, and it kind of breaks our heart because we know as knitters
we're really bad at the whole designing and then coordinating the launch with having the yarn in stock,
because we don't have that long term. Like we just kind of do things. We design as we go, and we're spontaneous, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, we want to get it out there. We don't have the patience to wait. So
we're going to talk about a few designs today, and you can't order the yarn. But it's all on order.
It is on order, and so as a designer, we kind of like, it breaks our heart because we want people to be able to access it. As shop owners, it breaks our heart as well.
Of course, because it doesn't make business sense.
No, and then as a knitter too, you're like, oh, you can understand that frustration. So we apologize ahead of time, but as we always say, you can just shoot us an email, and when stuff comes in, we'll let you know. Why don't you talk about
what we're wearing?
Design.
Okay, so I'm
going to cut you off because we were at Vogue. And I was in the shower, and I came out of the shower, and Melissa was all dressed, and I was like, oh my God, that is stunning. Like the yoke on this.
Because I hadn't worn it.
I hadn't worn it.
Because it was hot off the needle.
Yeah,
so
I just seen a picture of the yoke, and I'm like, the yoke, it was just so modern and stunning. So I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yes, I had been working on this, I guess, through January. I think I cast it on sometime after Christmas, and I think I was up to here when we had our last podcast,
yeah, I believe
right?
so.
Okay, so then I really got the let out, and I finished it in time for Vogue Knitting Live, and it was a really fun process, fairly easy. It's knit from the top down. It's a funnel neck, obviously, and then it just has this really simple 1x1 color work here. And I guess I know on the last podcast I was trying to decide how I was going to finish the sleeves.
Yeah.
So that's actually what took a little bit of time, because I wound up knitting my sleeves 3 times.
And you got it right on the third time.
I think so. I mean, I'm happy with them. So I think, so the body is just a straight A-line. Am I high enough?
And see, people talk about the rolling, but it's not rolling.
I'm balancing on a stool, you guys, so I might lose my balance.
Flip over.
But yeah, so I'm just wearing it with my Faro dress that I had made, and it's just an A-line dress, and so I wanted an A-line sweater, and as I often do, I just cast off. Really, no special cast off, no stretchy cast off. People ask me, how am I casting off in a particular way? I'm not. I just do a straight cast off. And then I did this. In fact, I was going to call the sweater "Let It Roll," because there are a lot of people who are saying, how can you just doesn't it roll? Doesn't it sort of ruin the whole look with the rolling? And I don't find that to be true. What I find
that's not even rolling. There's nothing rolling.
So what I find is that when you when on the vertical fabric, when you cast off, there isn't so much rolling this way, although there is. I mean, I have steamed this, right. but that the rolling is more on the horizontal. So if you just do a straight piece of knitting in stockinette, you're going to have more rolling on the sides than you are from the bottom and the top edges, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't really find that it's much of an issue. And even if it rolls a little bit, that doesn't bother me. I find it just makes it look a little bit relaxed.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. I think that's a nice, and I mean, it rolls also subtly. Like it's not even, it's like a centimeter, not even.
It's a very, very simple pattern. There are just increases through here. You cast on, you're knitting straight, and then you're just doing increases for your yoke. One thing that I've added to the pattern that I didn't do myself was going up a half needle size or needle size for the color work, so that it doesn't pull in. Mine pulls in a little bit. And then you're just doing a couple more increases, and then you just put your sleeves on hold and knit straight down for the body. There's no shaping. It is just, and that straight from the armpits just gives it an A-line shape. And then the sleeves, I did a few versions of the sleeves. I knit them straight. I knit them with a balloon, and then I finally just opted for that.
And I really love the, like, how it, like, goes back
like
to
a little
this
frame.
Yeah, like I think if it was all black, I mean, it would look lovely too, but there's something about this, it pops it just, like, I don't know, it's like modern and stunning.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very good.
So I wore it to Vogue Knitting, and I have to say it was very comfortable. It is Rauma Phenol Garn stranded with Silk Cloud, and I had used...
So the Phenol Garn is a fingering weight
rustic wool. So it's 100% wool from Norway. And these are the two colors that I used, and I used the Abyss, which was the black, in the Silk Cloud with the Caffeine, and both of those colors are, of course, sold out. And so those will be restocked soon. So we'll make kits for this colorway, I guess. And then we thought about making kits in different colorways as well. So I just pulled a couple of ideas from the shelves this morning, and I'm thinking that, you know, the kits can all be sort of the black base, the black base with a different color for so this is brick. I don't know what the Rauma is, but this is brick.
So this is color 419 from Rauma, Sienna Brown with brick Silk Cloud.
Okay, and this is color 417, which is bronze. It looks more greeny, but
it doesn't look bronze, but that's what they call it.
Yeah, and with pollen from Silk Cloud. I love this.
I mean, the colors, you'd think it was the same company. They go so well together.
I know, they're good.
Yeah.
And, you know, if these bright colors with black is just too much contrast for you, even just a charcoal gray or a lighter gray on the bottom would be really nice. And then this is teal 484 with Cove from Silk Cloud.
And this is plum 427 with Imperial.
Yeah, so we have to decide if we're just going to, you can just order these colors a la carte from our website. Everything is there, and the pattern will be out at the time that this podcast goes live. So then you can just order your own, and then as soon as we have the Silk Cloud in stock, we'll make kits in the original.
Did you say that you didn't say the name?
Oh, Cedar. I think I've decided Cedar Point. Cedar Point.
As always, all patterns will be eventually available in French. So
and it will be free on Ravelry, as all our patterns are, unless they're commissioned, right?
So that's Melissa's wonderful pattern, and then I have something very, very simple.
Oh, come on. This is beautiful.
Come on. Okay, don't exaggerate.
I'm not exaggerating.
Tiny. So this is 2 years ago. When we went to Vogue, we went to Woolens, which is a cute little shop run by Rachel in Brooklyn. And this is a yarn by Molly Girl, and it was custom dyed. So it's like a black purplish.
It's Woolens color?
Yeah, it's their color. It's called No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Okay.
And it's her Molly Girl's bouncer yarn. It's a fingering weight plied yarn.
Is it 100% merino?
100% merino. And so basically it's just a little triangle. So you start here up in the corner, knit in stockinette, no border. So just knit. And then at the end I decided to do, I've had this idea of a kick pleat on. It looks like a rib, but it's actually what you call a kick pleat. So I did a little kick pleat to give it a little flair, and
cute.
And then I felt like it needed a little something on the side.
What I like about it is that it's a ruffle without being ruffly. You know
what
I mean?
It's a subtle ruffle. I don't like things that are too frilly, but I wanted something not so structured. So we did that, and then I added a little. I had some Luxadorna cashmere and sport weight in her. It's like a bit of it's a marled, so I just added that as a little I-cord edge.
And it's gorgeous. It just makes all the colors in this pop out. Yeah.
So again, it's Molly Girl, her bouncer yarn, No Sleep Till Brooklyn from Woolen. I believe it's a custom colorway for her.
Does this have a name?
I'm toying with some different names. So Melissa and I visited a great shoe store for dancers called La Duca. And
right at Times Square.
I not that I'm a dancer or ever was, but I love dance. I taught dance. Actually, I did a variety of dances.
bit of a dancer.
I'm a bit of a dancer. And so, because I need high heel shoes, but I can't really wear. I don't like wearing high heels, but you go out and sometimes you need a shoe. I'm like, oh, maybe I should go and buy like a black dancer shoe that has a heel, so that it's super comfortable and wearable, and it'll just be my shoe forever. So Melissa and
that was a really fun thing we did, because it was because Lisa was telling me about this. And I was like, really, you're going to buy dancer shoes? And I was like, there is such a place. So you'd seen it on a documentary or something.
On a documentary,
place, right? So it wasn't far from the hotel, and we walked in. It was a tiny little store, and they had like maybe 15 or 20 pairs of shoes on the wall, and it had all the posters and photographs of famous people who performed on Broadway and come in and bought their shoes there and signed their pictures and everything. And I was like, oh, this was a going concern, this place. It was like that's where all the Broadway people buy their shoes.
All the Rockettes buy their shoes. They do custom lines for like musicals and all kinds of theater and everything. Not just dancers, all kinds of theater too.
So you tried on quite a few pairs, and they were super sexy, I have to say. They look really good on your feet.
And you can custom
are you going to order them?
So that's the idea, is that I saw my size, and they had like a lot of soft sole, but if you want to wear them outside, you need the hard sole, which is leather rather than suede. So so I got all the details, and I can just order them in and have them shipped. So my idea was like, I like the kick pleat. It's like the Rockettes, a kick pleat, maybe called La Duca Kick or something. So I'm mulling over with this idea, because I bought the yarn at Vogue. I resurrected the pattern. I finished it. So it's going to be available soon. We're also going to knit it up actually in our gray space. In our gray space. Oops. So because it's a yarn obviously that we don't have in our shop, and so I'm thinking
I think it's going to be so pretty.
Yeah, so we're going to do it in the Knitting It Up gray space, and this color is called The Mystery of Love, with Madeline Tosh unicorn tail as the border. So there's many different colors. So basically you need 2 skeins of a fingering weight yarn, and then pull out a color you like to do the border. So I'm sure people have stuff in their stash, or any fingering weight you've been dying to find a pattern for. This would be a great one.
And Lise, this is about 1.5 skeins you use?
Yeah, for this? Exactly. Okay. About 1.5 skeins, and then
so
I didn't use too much.
They could make it bigger.
Yeah, it's tiny. Like my idea was, I just wanted to, because everything I make is big.
So it looks pretty. It looks like a good size on screen.
It's like 54 inches or something, the wingspan.
Yeah.
So, but it's like a tiny little indoor scarf. So that's what I've done. But you can, I mean, it's basically as long as you have a multiple of 4 for the kick pleat, that's all you need to do.
So you have enough yarn to increase.
Yeah, you can keep increasing till you finish till you finish the skein, and then do your little border. So I'm going to write that up this week and make that pattern available. And then we're going to do it as a, we're going to knit it up in a yarn that we carry in the store.
It looks so good, Lise.
So something a little simple, and just I think when I saw this colorway, I just fell in love with it.
It's totally you.
So no, I can't wear it now. I can't put it on how I have it.
It's a color, but I mean, it's very similar to what you chose in the nightshades. It's just like black with a bit of purple.
How original! Oh my god! No, I can't.
It looked good.
I know. I had it. That's what I hate when we film the podcast. I take it off.
But I mean, it looked good just a second ago.
Okay.
There you go.
So anyway, I think it might be La Duca kick, but it might be something else.
Okay. So actually, one of the things I didn't talk about when we were giving our little Vogue Knitting Live rundown was the way I fell down hard at the Loopy Mango.
Oh my god!
Booth, right?
You certainly fell hard. Oh, I like this one, Melissa.
No.
I like this one. Melissa was like, "Oh my god, we got it." And Loopy Mango is a yarn we used to carry, but she only had one.
Will you wear it?
I don't know. Maybe I would.
You can have it if you want it.
Why did you knit it for yourself?
I knit it for myself, but I knit myself another one. It looks really good.
Well, I told you that color looks good on you.
I know, but this I decided to because we need to store sample too.
Yeah. So we used to carry Loopy Mango when she had her big yarn, and now she's really diversified and has a lot more yarns.
The big merino. Yeah. So now they have the sort of chunky cottons, and then they just launched this merino mohair. It's called Mohair So Soft, and it's pretty gigantic.
And you don't have to strand it.
You don't have to knit it alone. I mean, it's completely different look than stranding with mohair, but I mean, look how fun that is, you guys. Fun. Does she actually give a gauge?
I think this was knit. Did you knit it with a 9mm, Melissa?
I knit that with a 9mm. So what's nice about the Loopy Mango yarns is that they have a lot of pattern support, and all their patterns are free when you purchase the yarn. So they have a slouchy beanie that takes 1 skein, so it's a little bit shorter. No. Sorry, it's just called a beanie, and it takes 1 skein. It's quite a bit shorter. The taller one goes to, I think, 48 rows is what you're supposed to do, or 52. And I actually did quite a few less, but it still took 1.5 balls because I wanted it longer I wanted a little bit of slouch, but not quite as much as they had in the slouchy beanie.
And your mods will be on Ravelry. Yeah. So, and you know what's nice about this hat? It's not tight.
It's so light.
And it's very light and super warm. And for people who don't want to get their hair too squashed or messy, obviously I don't care about that.
But you're right. It's really nice for that. It just doesn't squash everything. Yeah. And so what I will say is it does create a very nice halo of warmth around your head. If you go outside and it's cold, you are going to feel toasty in this, but you're not going to feel toasty in a high wind.
Yeah.
Right? The wind is going to go through it because it is quite airy, but it is there's no pick to this. Do you feel a pick to this, Lise?
No, I don't.
Because you're more sensitive than I am, and I want to give an honest review.
I feel like there's like a puff around my head.
Right? And on your forehead, it feels okay?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel picky?
Yeah. No, it doesn't feel picky.
Okay.
And Melissa, I tell you, she looks great in this color. I had to tell her 10 times. And when she was like, "Oh, it's going to wash me out."
I felt like it was real.
Like,
but no, I have to say, the more I wore it, it really, really grew on me. And I think I'm just so used to seeing myself in dark colors that seeing myself in something light was a bit disconcerting.
Yeah.
And so,
but you did wear it in New York.
I wore it in New York. I wore it a lot since I've been back. And then I knit my black sort of comfort zone version as well. And but I could see having a whole bunch of these, I have to say.
Yeah, and they're super fast to knit.
Oh my God, an evening, 2 evenings at the most. It's really just cast on, and you don't even need a different size set of needles to finish it off because it's only 1 or 2 decrease rows, and then you just pull all your stitches together. So it is easy peasy, 1 skein or 2 depending on how slouchy you want to make it. And anyway, so I fell down at that booth, right, Lise?
Yeah, you did. But you know what? It was all in service of the store because now we are bringing in the Merino So Soft, Mohair So Soft.
So Mohair So Soft has arrived.
And we're going to be getting their cotton later on in the season. So we'll keep you posted about that.
Yeah, and we have some nice ideas for the cotton.
And we also stock their needles, and they're really nice because they're maple, right?
Yes.
Yes. So they're a little more.
So they're nice and light. What I find is, so I'm an Addie girl, a metal needle girl, and I knit everything with metal except I would say single-stranded mohair. And this was really nice knitting on the wood because the metal needles are quite heavy. So, or at least the Addies are. Not all metal needles are heavy like that. If they're aluminum, like I think the Hayahayas are not as heavy as Addies, right? But when you're knitting mohair, the yarn is just slippy and it doesn't grip your needle. So the weight of the needle will just pull out as you're knitting, or if you're, put things down. So I find the bamboo or wood is just a little nicer for...
When you get to those large sizes, like I agree, me too. I'm a metal knitter, but when I get to
they're light, right?
Yeah, but actually for the hat, I just, the hat, we stock the Hayahaya in bamboo for the 9mm, 10mm, and the Loopy Mango, we're stocking the larger sizes, the 12 and the 15mm.
Yeah. And what's nice is that they have that very nice flexible cord. Well, I think it's pretty flexible, but it's nice. It will hold your stitches in a nice curve when you're knitting.
They're nice. They're very nice.
But they're just nice and light, and it's a pink cable.
Always.
I just think it's fun.
A little bit of color.
Yeah. So
that's fun. And it's nice to have a thicker mohair where you can just knit it single-stranded and get the effects of mohair for people who like that.
Yes, exactly. So I pulled down the 15mm. And so should I just talk about
go ahead with your another design.
Yeah, just because...
As we were laying in bed watching... Watching the Food Network.
So when I was at the booth in New York at Vogue Knitting Live, I decided to grab this color and just to see if I kind of had an idea for this very, very simple design. And so I cast it on. I bought the needles and cast it on that night and worked on it. And you guys, this pattern could not be easier. Maybe many of you have seen, I posted some pictures of Emma wearing this yesterday to Instagram.
Fabulous.
And it looked
she
so
looked like a model
great on her. Oh, it was just everything I envisioned and more.
I'm like, I wish I could look like that with that sweater.
She just had the best outfit for wearing it yesterday too. So.
And that wasn't planned. It wasn't planned.
I just ran in because I had to pick up the web orders, and she was here. I said, "Emma, will you try this on?" And she did, and I just snapped a few pictures, seriously, like in 2 seconds, and I was really pleased. So it's just knit from the bottom up in the round to the armholes. Then you're going to just work the front separately, the back separately, cast them off, and then you're going to sew your 2 seams for your shoulders, and then pick up your stitches and knit down for your sleeves to whatever length
and they're
you
loose,
want.
but they're not really, like, they're a little more, they're like the sweater's very boxy, but then the sleeves here, they're not too
super
boxy,
fitted, but they're not really
loose.
big and droopy. Yeah. So I knit the entire thing on 15mm needles, and I was able to actually pick up these stitches and knit in around with the same needles, working magic loop. What I will say if that's not for everyone, well, you can also use double pointed needles. That might be easier than magic loop with, I think I only had 32-inch cord, so it wasn't ideal, especially when you have thinner yarn that you're pushing up onto a larger needle. I found it a little, I did it. It was not a big problem, but it was not the most comfortable.
Thank God it was short.
But it's not very long, and so it's over before you know it. But one option you can do too is just pick up 2 extra stitches if you can kind of squeeze them in there, and then knit the sleeve flat, and then just seam up your sleeves when you're done. So whatever you're comfortable with, you can knit them in the round, or you can knit them flat.
Will you put the directions in the pattern, Melissa, for knitting flat or in the round?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
So I sent the draft of the pattern to Mona this morning. seriously, it's like half a page long, the pattern. But she is going to work on the sizing for me. So we'll have like maybe 4. It's very, as you see, very forgiving, very, sort of one size fits many. So there probably will be like 4 sizes in the pattern.
Yeah.
To run the full spectrum. So so that is probably going to be called over easy, like the eggs,
It's
because
over before you know it.
I've been calling it the easy peasy.
Yeah.
But I think it really is just something that you can throw over anything: a t-shirt, a tunic, a dress. Dress it up, dress it down, and it's easy to knit.
It's lightweight.
It's lightweight, and so I'm going with over easy. Although I did have a few people suggest that I call it the Amma, which is also a good idea, but. I don't know. That'll start a trend. I'll have to name all my patterns after staff, right?
We'll feel badly.
So I think it'll be called the over easy.
That's great.
All right.
So this is a yarn that I bought at Vogue. I'm not finished the tassels yet. At Vogue.
Had you done tassels when you posted it online?
No, I didn't.
No.
I had just strings hanging down.
That's right. Okay.
So this is the half mitered by Himawari Knits, and I already did this one in Les DK, and. So the Lezu, this is a worsted. So this yarn is Spin Cycle oh my God, Spin Cycle, not Dyed in the Wool, the other one. Oh yes, Dream State.
Okay.
In Verba Volant.
So that's in the worsted weight.
This is in the worsted weight. So basically what's nice about the pattern is she tells you how much yarn you need, but she also says go until you've used almost half your yarn. And she's totally right. I went
Really?
yeah, because I had like 6 grams left
So
without
does
the tassels.
Does the pattern include tassels? Or,
No,
okay,
so she says
that's
it.
why you need.
So what happened was, I'm like, I love playing yarn chicken, right? So I said, okay, I'll stop when I have a little bit less than half and finish the pattern, and I did. But then I didn't have enough for the tassels. I'm like, I could already use something that we have in the store, but I'm like, then it'll always bother me. I'm gonna want that it's not the same. So I'm online. I'm looking for who sells it. Then I see a shop, The Loft in Toronto sells it. So here I am, like at midnight, ordering.
And I laughed. That came in. I came in at 12:30, and I forwarded the order confirmation back to Lisa with an LOL
with like the emoji rolling on the floor, and I'm like, anyways, I wrote no comment back.
I'm so not surprised.
So, I really like this pattern, and it's like so bright.
It's so good. It's so good.
The yarn is so bright and colorful.
And when you bought that yarn at VKL, I have to say I was a little shocked.
Yes, you were.
Because it's really not.
No.
Well, no, I shouldn't say that. In the summer, you do wear a lot of lighter colors, and you wear that salmon color, and but it was all of them together. I was a little surprised, but then I remembered that you did buy that Vertices Unite kit from Le Bien-Aimé and all those bright colors, and it's very similar, but all rolled into one.
Right.
There were some neons in that one.
You're right.
But I thought that it would actually linger in your stash.
That is why.
That is what I thought.
So I said, okay, I bought it. It's going to linger in my stash if I don't cast on something right now. Yeah. So I went through all my pattern ideas, and I'm like, I really like the half mitered. It was like a little bit different. And I got a lot of compliments on the half mitered at Vogue, which I was
because you were wearing it in the
I was wearing
pixel.
it. Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, a lot of people liked it. I'm like, yeah, because it's simple, but the tassels and the different construction is very original. So I'll show you one thing here. So it's just, I won't go over the construction, but you see, you knit like, you see how the square goes like this here? You can actually see it. It goes like this.
It's almost like knitting a raglan sweater, right?
Yeah, so you knit exactly like that. Then you knit one side, the other side, and then you go down. So it's very interesting. What I did was I alternated 2 skeins of Spin Cycle of the same colorway. Mm-hmm. So it's called Verba Volant, and so it's this one colorway, but because I alternated 2 skeins, because if I wouldn't have, I would have gotten more of like a gradient effect, and I wanted to mix it up a little bit more and have a stripey.
And so you alternate every 2 rows? Or
every 2 rows.
Okay.
Oh no, sorry, it's every 6 rows because there's a short row. There's a short row thing happening. So it's actually every 6 rows in her pattern. One thing that it's very hard for me is she said to really keep your edges loose as you're knitting because it'll curl up. So indeed, she's right. I knew that from the last time. I blocked it very hard. And as I wore my other one, I noticed that it relaxed. So I'm hoping that that's going to happen. So if you see it rolling, it's just my fault because I'm a
So you're going to add that tassel.
And then I'm going to add a tassel.
There. Yeah.
So with the tassel, I'll add some weight. The yarn is beautiful. We don't carry the yarn, but the Loft in Toronto carries it. And Maria gave me excellent service. It was so fun chatting and exchanging notes with her. So if you want it in Canada, please check her out. And there's other shops in the U.S. that have it. But the half mitered can be done in DK or worsted, even fingering. Like you go till you've used half your yarn, but just remember you'll need extra for tassels.
That's really nice, actually. You really can do it in any weight then.
Any weight.
Just weigh your yarn and go
and just go for it. I love those kind of patterns. So thank you to Claudia from Himawari Knits for designing this half mitered. It's great. Thanks to Spin Cycle for this beautiful yarn. It was nice because we also met the girls. Loft. And thanks to the Knitting Loft for
hooking you up with your tassels, the tassel yarn.
I think it's a fun color.
It's really good.
I'm going to finish the tassels
I can see you in that sort of in the spring with a white dress, and it'll be gorgeous.
And it's like 100% wool, but it feels a bit cottony. Like it's really, really lovely.
And you've wet blocked it now?
I've wet blocked it and washed it, and
it feels nice.
It's really, really lovely. Yeah. So it's a nice yarn,
woolly wool, but very, as you say, has a cottony feel.
Yeah, so
a little bit kind of how Nightshades reminds me a little bit of how Nightshades feels.
Very good point. So those are the 2, and then I talked about the En Voyage that I just talked about at the top, and it's all. Well, if you're going to knit this one also, I think I mentioned it, but I just want to repeat that change your yarn like after you've done the rib border, because you'll have a much smoother edge. And for the
it'll be nice to hide your ends that you're sewing in that little dip.
And then also press out your rib so that you get a really nice rectangle. So those are the two little tricks.
What? Maybe you want to open it. There have been a few people on Ravelry. I mean, this isn't really going to help them if they're not watching our podcast. But a few people on Ravelry have said, a picture of it flat would help. But it's just a rectangle.
It's just a rectangle. So this is like, a ribbed border, a rectangle, and then you just go. Because, when you take a picture of something flat, it doesn't really look as pretty.
It's kind of hard to get this whole thing in one picture. Yeah. So we took a picture of it folded in half flat, but...
Yeah. Anyway. So that's that.
I have to take this it would look like a runway. I have to take a shot of it from an angle.
So we also have some nice store samples that we finished up. So this one is fabulous. I mean, I find the pictures don't do it justice because someone has to wear it.
It's the color too is hard to capture.
Yeah, I love this color. So this is Garthenor Beacons, and it's done in the kettle colorway, which it's like a bluey green.
And the pattern is Santa Fe by Isabel Kramer. So it's really just a garment version of the Kyler shawl.
Yeah, which I love. So it's really great.
And it can be worn both ways. You can have the lace up top, or you can have the stockinette up top.
It's really. I'm going to try this on.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, the what I love about Garthenor, it's a very tailored yarn, which is kind of my thing. I like that tailored. And we had this Giovanna brought it to the staff party.
Look how nice.
And just like look how cozy that is. You're just like so easy and relaxed.
It's like a shawl that doesn't fall off.
Yeah, exactly. Isabel Kramer is just
she's amazing.
So amazing. So you can wear it this way, or you can wear it the other way.
You want to try it on the other way just to see? Because I think this way, I think the other way is how she actually...
Yeah, she has it big. I'd prefer the other way for myself, but... Okay, so here we go. Yeah, so you see, this looks much more like you have that lace on the top. Oh, this is nice too, actually. Right? I don't know which way I prefer now. Yeah, it's really
this
great.
way really shows off the lace, of course.
So it's really fun. It's like a nice way to wear a lace cardigan, because usually you wear lace shawls, and sometimes
really
it seems harder. So
and it feels good, right?
It feels really so nice. It's like Garthenor is such a beautiful yarn. It's an organic yarn. And we met them at EYF, so that was really lovely. I just wanted to show you.
And we're looking forward to seeing what they have new this year.
Yeah, so they are actually working on some new yarn. Most of their yarn was in natural colors, and now they're working on some of their yarns. They're going to have different colorways. So, I mean, the thing when I see Garthenor is I want to knit with all the colors. They're just beautiful. So you have colors that are maybe more accessible if you wanted to knit a garment, like a blue, or you have this Tuscany color, or blazer, or this is coral.
That one.
Yeah, this one is really, their colors are really special. So this one is called Lanto. And then this is Living Coral. Well, it's called Koi from them, but it's the color of the season.
The year. Living Coral is the 2018 color of the year, right?
And then you could go with Spearmint if you wanted something lighter. And then, of course, natural. And they're so...
might be better a little further back, I'm thinking.
You think so? With the...
Oh, I don't know.
Something with the light is not...
Yeah.
Anyways,
sometimes it looks worse than when I see it played back.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I think it'll be okay.
So, I mean, the Beacons is just beautiful. It's a sport weight yarn. You can even do the half mitered in Beacons. You can do anything with that. So we thank Giovanna. Giovanna is amazing. She wrote really great notes that'll be posted on our Ravelry page.
Yeah,
and
she's a beautiful knitter.
She's a beautiful knitter, and she's knit a lot of lace patterns for us, actually.
Yeah, and she teaches a lot of our finishing classes and fixing your mistakes classes and our garment classes, sort of personal project classes. So she is a wealth of knowledge and information, and every sample she knits is just perfection.
Perfection, and she really likes to learn, and she likes it's like her and Jocelyn.
She has really that fine attention to detail,
and she gets excited when she learns something new, and she does a personal project in the class, and her students just love her because she really takes the time to explain things, and really
Jocelyn's the same way.
Yeah, they're just really. They're great teachers.
We are lucky to have them to knit samples for us.
So that's the Santa Fe by Isabel Kramer.
Okay, should I talk about this one?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, you guys, look how sweet this is. This is called the Anchor Suit by Petite Knit. And we had done the Teddy sweater I guess before Christmas by Petite Knit as well. She's a very popular designer right now for everything from sweaters to hats. But I think people don't know her baby stuff as well. Or maybe it's just we don't because we don't have babies, Lise. But we were teaching some baby garment classes as part of the roster this season. And so this one, Francoise knit this one up for us. It's called the Anchor Suit. And it's knit with, look at those little buttons. Are they sweet? Anchor Suit. And it's knit with Lang Merino 150, which is 100% merino yarn, which is absolutely extra fine, baby friendly, soft, no pick. This is the 3 to 6 month old size. Yeah, it's machine washable. And it took 3 balls, I think.
And it's unisex, so unisex, and there's so many beautiful colors that you can go with depending on what the palette is.
Yeah, we have a good selection.
What the mom of the baby will like. I always tell customers, it's like, what kind of mom is she? Not what you want. Yeah. What does the mom? Because if you only knew what you want, the baby won't wear it.
That's right. So. And also, this comes in a cardigan, a pullover, and the bodysuit version. So it's really just this pretty textured yoke.
I mean, a bodysuit is just so classic and so beautiful. Yeah. I mean, if I was knitting when I had Gianluca, I definitely would have knit on that. Definitely would have done that. So
anyway,
thank you to
that's
Francoise.
It. Thank you, Francoise,
for doing that for us. Then we have the night shift. Yeah, so the night shift is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and she knit it in the lovely spin cycle yarn, which we don't carry.
Original here.
So
that's the night shift, and this has been sort of obviously very popular, and it's knit with the spin cycle. Yeah.
So we chose 2 colors of Noro Ito, which is a lovely yarn. It's a new yarn for us. And color 12, which is Rain Dance, and color 4, which is Adagio. And Amalia, who left for maternity leave but didn't have her baby yet, knit this up for us in a week.
In less than a week.
We're like, do you want to do it? But you got to do it before you have the baby. She's like, I can do it.
And she did it. And it's so beautiful. I'm really happy with it. Now, she did say that the Ito, so the spin cycle that's used for that is a worsted weight. This is technically a worsted weight, but I think it's a little denser, thicker than the spin cycle. So the pattern is a 20-stitch gauge. Amelia recommends knitting this on a 5.5 or 6 millimeter needle in order to get a 17-stitch gauge or so. And you want to pull that corner, Lise? And
how fun is that?
It turned out great.
So she said it's a great pattern, knits, purls, and slip stitches. And because you have the color changing yarn, you get this amazing effect as you go along.
It's beautiful. It just has that lovely sort of rustic but soft.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
And colorful, but not in your face color,
I find this
too.
Is sort of, it's colorful, but it's also has enough earthy, neutral in it. It's very earthy, yeah.
So I think those are part of the colors that we chose. So this is actually quite a large skein. So we're selling them together if you want to buy them together as in order of a kit. And then if not, you can buy them individually. And
kits. So the kits do not include the pattern?
No.
But they do have the link shown here for you to go and purchase
directly from Ravelry. And I just wanted to mention it's 100% wool. They're 400 meters for 200 grams. So I was even thinking maybe I'll do a half mitered.
Well, yeah. So since you know it's going to look beautiful in that kind of yarn. I mean, this is really a spin cycle alternative.
Yeah.
So
if you really want the original spin cycle, I told you where to go to get it at the Loft in Toronto. But if you want something that's an alternative,
and a little more affordable,
you can go to this. And it's a different feel.
The problem with the spin cycle is it's one price in the States, but for Canadians, it's just because of our really weak Canadian dollar, the exchange rate just makes it a very pricey yarn.
Yeah, and it's worth what it is because the process of making that yarn is quite complex, and the idea was quite ingenious.
Yeah,
that they came up with to do that. So we really appreciate that. But we just as a business, unfortunately, you have to make decisions that as a knitter you don't want to make.
Exactly.
But that's the way it goes.
And that's true as knitters too. I mean, we have to make decisions as knitters, and in terms of what the budget will allow in any particular week or month. So
there's no point knitting with something that is beyond your budget, and then it puts you in a bind, and then you're not you always have that sinking feeling, your knitting needs to be good. We always say knit with the best that you can afford, and stay within that, because you want to feel good about what you're knitting and not have a sinking feeling, So when Melissa talked about her turtle dove, and it's great, and the luft is amazing, well, there's so many alternatives, that you can do. Or you say, I'm going to wait and save up and just get one project rather than 3 or something.
Exactly.
So that's our philosophy. So there you go. So you can buy the 2 together, and also.
This would be really great too if you want that sort of self-striping, spin cycle look in the yoke of a sweater, for example.
Because Emma's doing a swetter and she's using the spin cycle worsted.
It looks really good.
So you can use something like that.
Yeah. So this could be the color work, and then you just have a solid background.
And for Amalia wrote some really good notes as well. So they'll be up on our Ravelry project page, which you can look to for that. Okay. The other little pattern that it's actually not a store sample. However, so we have Maxime C sent us a design. So he's also from Montreal, and it's called For Fox's Sake, the Clever Sweater, which I think is fantastic. So he knit this sweater up in a DK weight yarn. So it's quite a clever pattern, and it's like totally him.
I'm just looking for the baby version.
Here. So Sasha actually knit a baby version for her daughter, but it's actually a kid's version, we should say.
Yeah. So what did she do? So this pattern is not available in kids sizes, but she just
she did a fingering weight yarn.
Fingering weight, and reduced the needle size, right?
Yeah, and she did the adult large actually for her daughter, but she said
it's like a 4-year-old size.
Yeah, 4-year-old size. So she did an adult large with a fingering weight, and I think she did like a 3.75 or a 3.25.
We'll find out exactly and post it.
And she said she didn't do any other mods to the sweater. Okay. And again, it's super well, like the Montrealer sweater, it's like super well written, easy to, very visually pleasing. Chart is really great. It's like a fun sweater. So good.
So we recommend.
So nice. We recommend.
We haven't personally knit it, but Sasha raved about the pattern, and look how cute it is, you guys.
Like super. It's not blocked, so the motif will come out.
Yeah.
But that's so. When I wrote to Maxime, I said, "Oh, do you ever think of doing it for a kid?" He's like, "Oh, I thought about it," but he said, "There's a lot of kids sweaters out there, and so I think it's a great way to just reduce your yarn and do it for kids."
There you go.
So a shout out to Maxime C for Fox's Sake. So it's really fun for us when we get to learn about our Quebec designers and promote them. Okay, so works in progress, Melissa. You have your satin slippers. Did you bring them over?
Yes.
And they are almost done.
Yes, my mission was to finish these slippers this week, and they are not finished. I failed in my mission, however,
oh my God, you have a Kitchener stitch.
No, I still have the heels to put in.
Oh, yeah.
So these are do I have a picture?
I was thinking they were looking a little tubey.
They were looking a bit tubey, eh? Okay, so these are the satin slippers that are part of our Chalet collection patterns. Mm-hmm. And my son asked for his version to be knit with the original colors, except swapping out the green for this sort of turquoisey blue. And I'm doing the second size. He's got a size 10 foot, I think, and I'm wondering if I should have done the large, but he's also still only 14, so he doesn't have super wide feet, you know?
True.
So I measured his foot, and basically it just says to knit this part, measure the foot you're knitting for, and then knit X number of inches less for this. So really they're customizable. Really, I just didn't want them to be too wide and floppy on his foot. And so this is actually the waist yarn that you put in, that you go back and unpick and then insert your heel. And so I had this one done for a long time, but this one was lingering. So, I also made a little change too, and I didn't do my little crosses here in the blue. I just kept them in the charcoal just for a slightly more neutral look. And so all I have to do is do my Kitchener stitch on my 12 stitches, sew on the leather soles. Mm-hmm. Well, insert the heel, I guess, and then sew on the leather soles, which are included in the kits that we have in store as well. So I'm looking forward to that, and he especially is looking forward to that. He checks on me every 10 minutes.
He's like,
"Are they done yet?
Because our basement is cold, Mom. I need my slippers."
Exactly.
I need my slippers.
So in the next couple days.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in the finish February phase. So
you've been so good.
I'm really proud of myself. I have two. So I had that woolen scarf that I just finished, the La Duca Kick. So that one I'm really proud that I finished. And so I resurrected my rose cardigan. So the rose cardigan is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and it was a pattern that was published with La Bien-Aimée yarn, and I bought it at EYF. And I think
it launched at EYF.
It launched at EYF, right? And I had to have it. And I got it, and I started it, and then after 2 sections, I
flaked.
I flaked.
No, you backburnered it.
I backburnered it. So let's see where it is. So now I said, okay, I'm going to EYF. Let me resurrect it and let me finish. Wouldn't it be great
if she finished in time for EYF?
Oh my God! But it will. I don't know. I mean, I kind of toyed with the idea. I don't know. I'm gonna work hard at finishing it. So there are 4 quadrants. So there's a nice little cable, and it's reverse stockinette. So this is my 3rd quadrant. So I'm hoping it didn't take me that long, actually, because I've been kind of, I get on this mission. But after you do 4 quadrants, you have to assemble, and then you have to pick up, and you have to knit, and then you have to do a border. So there's a lot more involved. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to finish it, but I'm going to try.
Finishing those 4 quadrants isn't. It's not like you're almost done, right?
You're not in the home stretch. No. So I'm really happy because after I do this, I'll only have 1 dormant project, which is a Koigu blanket that I started, which I'm really happy. Like, again, this whole destashing and all that, I'm feeling really good.
We're feeling lighter.
We are. Yeah. So that's done in the Bien-Aimée sport weight yarn. We did have kits out of Artful Belle for a while. We've sold out, but you can... Artful Belle is a great yarn to use for this, or if you wanted La Bien-Aimée Sport Merino yarn. So that's one thing I have on the needles. And then this one, what's really great, this is, I'm going to be calling this one probably Black Tartan. I think I might have talked a bit about it.
Yes, you did, but you had just cast on when we talked about it
So what's great about this, I didn't block it or anything, so it doesn't really look very good. It's done in the Lamel Garn by Rauma, so in the heavy lace weight. And what I like about, what I'm doing a tartan, and I know someone talked to me about a difference between a plaid and a tartan, so I have to see if for sure it's a true tartan. So this is like a seed stitch. So I'm doing like a tartan, but all in black. And sorry, Melissa, I'm just going to do this here. Where they intersect, I'm doing a seed stitch. So usually when you do a plaid or a tartan.
I think the reveal after blocking on this is going to be incredible.
So I originally didn't do the seed stitch. I just did it reverse all the way. And then Françoise and I were looking at it and we hummed and hawed. And she's like, no, you really have to redo it. So I had to rip out about 4 inches of knitting and then redo it. So what I like about this project is like it's a simple, easy, no-brainer. I just knit to the marker, purl to the marker, knit to the marker. So this is one I think will have momentum because when I'm doing social
You'll probably
knitting.
bring that to EYF,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. So this is going to be fun. It's going to be a square shawl, probably with a fringe all around, called Black Tartan. So those are the 2 that I have that I'm dedicated to.
You're going to have like the fringe that you put on your that sort of ice blue shawl.
The Virvol?
The Virvol,
yeah. I think maybe a bit longer.
Okay.
So that's sort of my idea. So those are the 2 things that I've got on my radar.
Nice. Can I just put that? I don't know where we're going yet.
So those are...
we talked about all of these,
right? We talked about this. Look at that. Moving right along. We're really chatty today.
Yeah, we are.
A lot of stuff to chat about. Okay,
it's been a while. That's why.
So we wanted to talk about...
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oops. So just... we've talked about these many times, you guys, but just a heads up that our... wrist rulers in all of these colors, including our exclusive to us in Canada rose gold and hot pink metallic wrist rulers have all been restocked, and including all the neutrals and
gold.
Yeah, and black as well.
So we've been waiting for a while. We were out of stock for a long time, so we're restocked with those.
So those are all restocked, hopefully in most sizes.
And then these... we've also restocked these. They're long, flexible blocking wires, and they're hard to find, and they're fantastic because they're round. So if you're knitting round shawls or semicircular shawls, these are fantastic blocking wires because they're very flexible and they come with pins as well. And they're easy for us to ship. So if anybody is looking for these, there are 3 60-inch stainless steel wires and 30 coated stainless steel pins with instructions on what to do if you haven't blocked before. So this is for people who want to do wet blocking. And it's good because when I used to do semicircular shells, I used to like bend my other wires and they're all bent out of shape. So this really provides, you get really like that nice crisp circular edge curve. So that's for people who want to restock that.
Okay.
Nightshades. So we were out of talk radio. We sold out quite quickly.
Quite quickly when Lisa launched her In Good Company scarf and wrap pattern. So the scarf uses 3 skeins of nightshades in talk radio.
So this is the scarf in talk radio colorway. So if anybody was waiting for that, we just wanted to tell you that they've been restocked, and all
the colors have been restocked.
All
the
colors. Yeah.
Although I haven't looked at inventory since we had our sale. I know that we still have a lot of talk radio, but the other ones might have been depleted.
We have pretty good numbers of the.
Yeah.
I mean, it's again this sort of like you were saying about the spin cycle. Nice. It's wool, but you have a bit of that cottony feel.
Yeah.
And it's American Cornmeal and wool, and we're hoping, and it's a woolen spun yarn. So it's billed as a DK, but really we feel that my gauge is 16 for that scarf. So you can really go like worsted and Aran.
That's a fever dream. This one's been a popular colorway as well.
Yeah.
This is the talk radio? Okay.
So this is beautiful. And we're hoping to get down. We're going down to Portland, Maine for a retreat in April.
So, with Vera and Hohi. Yeah. We're very excited.
So we're hoping that we're going to be able to stop by Harrisville. They invited us to go check out the mill. So we're looking forward to doing that. So that's been restocked.
Yes.
We also talked about how Mona made us mittens for Christmas. And I actually dropped them.
Oh, is that what went down?
Yeah, okay. Went down. So let me go over. So we made kits, right, Melissa?
Yeah, so it was really unfortunate, actually, because we talked about them on our last podcast, and we had ordered the yarn, and we had expected it to arrive before the podcast aired. But for whatever reason, the yarn did not arrive. It was delayed, and so it actually took a few weeks. We just got these kits up last week. So apologies for the delay, but we're very excited to say that we've got 4 different colorways in stock now. So we have my version, which we're calling the Melissa actually, and the blue version, which is called the Lisa. We have black and white there, which is the classic. And what is this? What do we call this one?
This one we called it the Espace Tricot because it's the pink.
The hot pink.
And the charcoal.
Okay.
So they're really fun.
One thing I just wanted to point out is that the green in the Melissa version is a little bit different than the green that mine are knit with, because this one was, I think this green was back ordered or sold out or discontinued, I'm not sure. In any case, this one is just a little bit more olive green, so I just want people to be aware of that so that they're not disappointed. I still think it's a beautiful earthy combination. I would still love to own that, but just some people are very particular about their shades. So.
And this the pattern is available through Ravelry because it's designed by Mona, so it's not one of our patterns, so we don't include it in the kit, but we have the link on the paper. And what I just want to mention is that they're very lofty and cushiony, these mitts. I have to say they're very, very comfortable. They're nice and warm, but when it's very windy, as Melissa was saying with her mohair hat, of course, wind goes through. So I actually have the Mona's mitten liners.
Yeah,
so
I have those too.
When it's cold,
so just put those in.
Put those in. So if you want like the perfect combination of mittens, in my opinion,
go knit Mona's mitten liners.
Mitten liners. So you can have just the liners if it's not too cold. You can have these if it's like semi-cold, and then you can put them together when it's really cold. So it's like a 3-in-1.
And then you're all set.
I think it's fantastic. So really,
the mitten liners are knit quite densely with sock weight yarn, so they really do stop the wind. And so the two together are amazing.
They're really, really fantastic. We've had a lot of teachers at Gianluca School for when they're in the schoolyard. They've actually knit the liners to put inside their other mitts for when they're what do you say that supervising during recess and lunchtime.
Marsh mohair has been restocked.
Oh yes.
So we have. Well, it's all up here. Can we see it? It's all back here. It's all beautiful. So many beautiful colors. So, in particular, we had ordered the pressed flowers for your wrap, right?
Yes,
Lise?
the pressed flowers.
Pressed flowers.
No. Yes, the pressed
flowers.
Yes.
And then we also have this pattern. It's the Chevron Cloud, and this is knit with the Marsh mohair and our gray space. And so I just wanted to show a couple of options that are possible for that as well. So this is actually, Lisa, maybe I'll give you a couple as well. So this is the original, and so that was the amber in the Marsh mohair with the rise up in the gray space.
And here we have On the Radio with, which is this one with coral. Oh, I think if we hold it here, Melissa, it might be a little bit better.
Yeah, so look at how living coral is that,
wow,
you guys.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. So this is Clover in Marsh Mohair with Wicked Games. I think that's actually really fun.
I mean, every one of them is fun. I'm like,
I know, every one of them
is great. So this one is Linen in the Marsh Mohair with Halo.
For a nice neutral.
I mean, goodness.
And so this pattern, you're not holding the mohair with the fingering weight yarn. You're actually alternating between the fingering and the mohair. So this is an example of when I would probably use a wooden needle rather than a metal one, because you are, every few rows you're knitting the mohair by itself. This was Gray Space in Stolen Dance and Wildflowers. That's the Wildflowers one. That's a pretty one for the spring. And I think that was it, actually.
We have a new system now. We have bins.
We have bins. We can throw everything down.
We're so professional.
Oh, yes, we've arrived. Plastic bins to hold our mess.
And jumping on the bandwagon for the Marsh Mohair. So do you want to grab the In Good Company wrap, Melissa?
Yes.
It's behind you. So as Melissa said, we're waiting for the Lamel to come in the color to make our kits again. So we've reserved all the Marsh Mohair.
So this is the big wrap version of the scarf Lisa just showed, in case people are.
And so we were thinking again that okay, what combination? Because sometimes it's hard when you're on the screen to know what combination. So not everybody necessarily wants the original. So you can buy à la carte. And so here we have Lamel number 33 and Faded Rose. So we thought that was like really interesting, different combination. Sometimes it's nice too to do things that aren't as expected. So this one is number 32 with Rosewood. So that's really for those people who like more of a burgundy look. So 32 in Rosewood. And then we have Sugar Plum, a Marsh Mohair, and number 24. So that's sort of a lilac-y. You can obviously see the colors better on our website. Yeah. So that one is 24 and Sugar Plum. And we have two more combinations to suggest. So we have Teal Tide in the Marsh Mohair and Rauma number 70, Aqua Blue. So we know there are a lot of blue fans, especially Aqua Blue. So that could be a lovely combination. And the last one we're suggesting is number 26 in the Rauma with Beach Glass in the Marsh Mohair. So that's much more contrasty, but that could be really fun as well. And the nice thing is, the mohair is thin, so it's not like a big marled contrast. Like it kind of goes in and out. So those are some suggestions that we have, but again, you're free to...
Very pretty.
You're free to choose your own. So that's our Marsh Mohair restock. And then we have a few books too. So we have the Len magazine. That's the new number 7.
So Lina has arrived, number 7, and it's as beautiful as it always is. We're never disappointed when this magazine comes in. We're always excited for it, and it always is. It always delivers. It always delivers. So this one is great. It has some gorgeous patterns by, let me see, there was one in particular I liked. This one is by Lerke, Bishop Larson, and she has the Fiber Tales podcast on YouTube, if you guys are familiar with it. But she is just, she's just designing some beautiful things these days. And so I saw this sweater. Just look at the sleeve on that, you guys. I love
every time I sit on Ravelry, I'm just clicking away. I want to put that
add that.
Vera.
And then, oh look, there's Vera Belli-Mackie. There's a whole interview with her in here. That's a really nice read. And then there was another pattern. I think there's 10 new patterns in here. This one is great too. This is by Kristen Drysdale. Anyone who is into hardcore color work, that is gorgeous. It's a cardigan. There. How beautiful is that? Anyway, this is really one of the magazines that I like to have every single one of. Yeah. Every once in a while we get all of them in stock again so that people can maintain their collection or build their collection.
It's just very beautiful inspiration as well. I think that's really...
It is completely inspirational. The articles are lovely. This is actually the Woolly Mammoth. She also has a podcast that I've watched on YouTube once or twice, and she is a natural dyer. And so her yarn is featured in here as well. And I guess there's an interview I have not seen, but I think it just talks about her background and her process. And, so it really exposes you to lots of different people in the industry in terms of from different perspectives.
So that's great. The Knitter's Dictionary, we talked about it. So that's been restocked by Kate Atherley. If anybody wants to get a copy of that, we have that in stock. Strange Brew has also been restocked, and that's been very popular and really fun for you to be able to
several times
to be able to
Francoise is knitting a sweater. She's doing her own sweater with this Strange Brew method. Yeah,
I think that's really fun. That when it sort of gives you a bit of the design power, So that's really nice. We also have a couple of, I wanted to profile The Knitter's Book of Knowledge by Debbie Bliss. There's lots of Learn How to Knit books, and there's a great Vogue one too that's just been, sort of recently
we had that. We stocked that one as well.
Reissued. So I was looking at this again because there's some teachers at school doing their sweaters for the first time. So I was looking at the different
good resources
and seaming. What I really like about this book is very easy. Like the layout, like it's
friendly. It has a friendly feel, I find.
Very friendly feel. It almost feels like sometimes what I do is I refer people to kids' books when they're first learning because it has that very accessible, friendly feeling. And so what I really like, they talk about all kinds of stuff like color values and putting colors together. Seaming, they talk about all the different directions of stitches, seed stitches, reverse stockinette, knitting, like doing with rib, how to add sequins, how to add tassels. It's very, very
comprehensive.
It's very comprehensive in a very easy to read format. So it's called The Knitter's Book of Knowledge by Debbie Bliss. So we have a few copies in store, and this is something we don't have it on our website because it's very heavy. So if you can't find it anywhere and you'd like to order it from us, and either pick it up in store, or if you want to order it online, then we can quote you a shipping price because unfortunately, because it's heavy, it'll be a little bit extra in shipping. And these are books we can order often. So if we don't have it in stock, it's our pleasure to order. So it's a really nice reference book. And the other reference book I wanted to talk about is Knitting Comfortably. So this is by Carson Demers, and he's, it's a recently published book. He's self-published, so it's a book that's hard to get. So we wanted to also let you know that if anybody was interested in getting this book, we can order that for you, and also shipping would probably be a little bit more. What's really amazing, so everyone knows, well, most people know who've been following us for a while that I had my injury. It's a year and a half now, my wrist injury. So my wrist injury has snowballed into fingers and hand and arm and shoulder, and there's a whole bunch of stuff happening.
So a lot of compensation happening, right? That's triggering sort of a cascade of issues. Yeah.
And then, knitters just want to knit, and I want to get back to my projects, and so I don't want to take it's like enough already. It's a year and a half. So I really started going through this book and looking at what he talks about, and also reading some of his book reviews, and there's some podcasts out there that talk about knitting comfortably. And what's really great about Carson Demers is he's a physiotherapist, and he specializes in ergonomics. So he really has an amazing way of making the topic accessible. And I actually brought the book to my physiotherapist, and she actually watched some of the videos that are available online, and she said what she really appreciated is that as a therapist who has, lots of experience, she said, I still learned some tips and tricks and things that I wasn't aware of, because it's very precise for knitting, but it also applies to other it
can be generalized.
It can be generalized because of just like people working on a computer, people using their hands. So it can be general. Stuff, exactly. Fine motor upper body. But at the same time, it's very accessible to the novice, to the person who's not a physiotherapist. So his book and his interviews really straddle that. There's something for the professional, but there's something for the average person who's just a knitter who just works with their hands. So it's really quite... It's really a nice reference book. And at the beginning, I'm like, I feel like it's a textbook, you're going back to school. But what I like about it is that he has lots of like little captions where he'll have like little things, and you read it and you're like
breaking it down.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, I want to know more about that, so I'll read that section.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing is I've been flipping through things, and I've been like, okay, I didn't realize doing stitch patterns, and I'll read that section. So it's not something that you would read all at once,
right? But
it's like a reference manual. He also talks about using different needle sizes and different needle textures and how that can affect you. So
really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So he's got a whole chart. So he talks about your posture also. Gianluca's teacher, just by changing her posture, so what she does is now she always knits in a chair. She rolls a towel and puts it in the small of her back, and she keeps her needles low. She said because she was having pain in her elbow, and just that has stopped her pain. So she's like, it was worth like every penny of getting this book, you know. And then he also talks about your knitting needles and the like Melissa said, preferring bamboo with mohair. So he talks about the friction and the type of yarn you're using versus the material of your needle, and then how that affects the tension. So there's lots of little
wealth of information. I think every knitter, I mean, if you're an avid knitter, if you're knitting a lot, I think everyone will experience pain at some point if they're knitting a lot.
Yes.
For me so far, just taking a break has been enough to take, you know, I've had some pain in my fingers and I've had some pain in my elbow, but really just those two spots. But it's been enough to just take a break for a couple of days, change my project.
Right. And
because it's a repetitive movement. It's a, repetitive stress. You are if you're not doing it properly, if you're not paying attention, you are putting yourself at risk for that sort of injury.
And the thing is, like, now because I'm in my situation, I sort of don't have a choice, so I have to go towards this. But prevention is always the best medicine, right? So he even has a whole section on self-care, where he talks about, also stretches and exercises you can do and postures that you can hold before you get injured.
Okay.
So I think it's
so it would be really nice, and I'm sure he mentions that in there, but just sort of stretches that you can do every half hour or something while you're knitting, right? So that
and he talks about that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great reference book to like just keep reminding you, if you want to knit and you want to keep knitting for a long time, there's things you can do before, and just some like very small little tips that I took from him is, it's like we disregard the discomfort that we experience because we love knitting so much. So we're just like, oh, it's going to go away. But in his book, he shows you things that you can do to avoid the discomfort, or once you have the discomfort, to change. Another thing he talks about is that in knitting, we often do the same motions and use the same muscles as we do in our everyday life, because it's all like, fine motor skill. So he said what's happening is you're living your life using those muscles, and then you're knitting for hours using those same muscles.
Intensifying.
So those muscles need time to rest. And if you don't get enough sleep, your muscles stay inflamed. They don't have time to fully relax and to rejuvenate. So that I found really interesting. Another thing he talks about, productivity, efficiency, and safety as three parts of a stool. And if one is not there, then something becomes imbalanced, and then that affects you. So he really goes into detail about those three different sections. He also talks about knitting with non-elastic yarns, and we kind of know that, like we knit
cottons and linens,
and more acrylic or polyester yarns, how they can put a lot more tension on our arms and fingers and muscles. He also looked at the risk factors of doing a repetitive activity and always in the same way, and if you're doing it in the same way in an improper position, how that affects you. And then he also talked about your chair, your work surface, and your tools. So I think if we can start with the easy things, then it might motivate us to then go on to other things.
Yeah, because we want to knit forever.
Yeah, forever and ever.
Forever and
so
ever,
I really think it's a great reference book. I also wanted to say that Fruity Knitting podcast interviewed him, and that's podcast number 31. So you can check that out. There's also George Forgan Smith's Men's Knitting podcast number 4, where he interviews Carson Demers. There's Rebecca Mezoff and Knitter's Review and Mason Dixon Knitting. They all did book reviews on his book. So you might want to go check them out. So I really think we need to take care of our bodies. Exactly. Yes, highly recommend.
Whether you're in pain already or not.
Yeah.
It's a good investment, this book, I think. Or at least going and watching some of his interviews and videos, right?
And it was edited by Ann Budd with a foreword by Kat Bordy. So 2 very important people in our knitting world.
Okay.
So we've been chatting a whole bunch today. You look at us, we're all like nervous about podcasting, and then you can't shut us up.
We don't have that much to talk about. We can always go on.
We certainly can. And I think Melissa and I, we're sort of at we want to finish the projects that we have, but we're so eager to start something
February
new.
is a funny month, right? So we cast on all those things that we started in the fall. We want to get them finished. We had some other ones lingering. I mean, I showed one work in progress today, you guys, but I have many, many more than that that I have not worked on. So yes, you've been really good about
I've
finishing
been
February.
good. I'm sort of doing that.
But we also have serious cast-on-itis. Like there are so many people
like I'm knitting and I'm like, oh God,
every day a new pattern drops on Ravelry.
I know.
It's beautiful.
I even bought 2 patterns 2 nights ago. I'm like, I don't know. So maybe we'll share those next time.
And then we want to design.
And we want to design. But you said a great thing here. We want to...
Oh, that we're torn between 3 levers.
We want to start stuff, finish stuff, and design stuff.
Exactly.
So we're really
we're a little bit paralyzed, actually.
We are.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, we just keep knitting to finish our projects, but we really have this desire. So our next podcast, we'll see where we are with that.
Yes. So we will check in again in 3 weeks or so.
Yeah. And thanks so much for listening to us. And we'll see you in a few weeks.
Talk to you soon.
Great. Take care.
Okay.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye.